Remember the excitement of finally hiring someone to build your website.
Yeah, you outline your vision and you wait.
You wait for months.
Revisions just go back and forth endlessly.
Then it goes live, and you realize something terrible.
They charge massive hourly rates for one text change.
Right. That's the exact moment it hits you.
Yeah.
You don't actually own your website. You're just renting it from the people who hold the keys.
That realization is a bitter pill for so many founders.
It really is. The technical barrier acts like a toll booth.
You either learn to write the code yourself, which takes years, or you pay a premium to someone else forever.
Welcome to the deep dive. Our mission today is to completely dismantle that toll booth.
We're going to explore escaping the website rental trap permanently.
We're looking at two specific tools today, Gemini Canvas and NotebookLM.
We'll unpack turning messy notes into a live, interactive website
In under 60 seconds.
without writing a single line of code yourself.
To understand why this matters, look at how we share information.
We all suffer from the messy notes problem.
You want to share a complex project with a client? Or maybe give consulting advice?
You inevitably send them a massive, ugly wall of text.
It's overwhelming. It's, a terrible user experience.
You dump paragraphs of context and scattered hyperlinks. You expect the other person to piece the puzzle together.
The alternative has always been the static PDF document.
Right, people format a nice-looking PDF and email it.
But a PDF is just digital paper.
Okay.
You can read it, but you can't truly interact with it.
It doesn't adapt to your device at all.
It's like handing someone a flat printed brochure. Meanwhile, they expect a dynamic 3D digital storefront.
Gemini Canvas changes that completely.
It's a dedicated workspace nested inside Google Gemini.
Standard AI models just output sequential text. They give you a chat response. Canvas operates differently.
It opens a secondary rendering engine.
It doesn't just talk about the theory of building a website. It actively writes the code and renders the web page live.
You're watching clickable buttons populate right in front of you.
You see navigation menus anchored to the top of the screen. You get smooth scroll animations instantly.
Compare that to traditional block builders. Tools like Wix or WordPress have dominated for a decade.
But they're incredibly fragile. You spend hours dragging a text block across the screen.
You drop it, and the entire layout shatters. The underlying positioning conflicts with the relative flow of the page. I have to offer a vulnerable admission here. I still wrestle with dragging blocks in website builders.
Oh, we all do.
I'll get the desktop version looking absolutely perfect. Then I switch over to the mobile view, and everything is broken. Beat. It's absolutely maddening.
I see that happen constantly. The template forces you into a box.
You try to customize one tiny element.
And you spend the next 3 hours undoing the damage. Plus, you're paying $15 to $30 every single month.
Canvas bypasses that entire fragile infrastructure. It takes maybe 30 to 60 seconds.
You don't need any fundamental design skills. You command the layout using plain conversational English.
If the call to action button needs to be an aggressive red, I just tell the AI.
You don't have to hunt through nested styling menus.
You become the art director.
The AI acts as your tireless junior developer, one who implements feedback instantly and never complains about revisions.
But how does the AI actually know what facts to put on the site?
It relies on a companion tool called NotebookLM to act as the knowledge base.
So it needs a customized brain to pull your specific facts from.
That's the perfect way to frame it. You can't just ask an AI to build a site out of thin air.
We've all seen large language models hallucinate.
If they don't know the answer, they mathematically predict words. They invent things that sound plausible but are factually wrong.
We have to actively prevent those hallucinations. We have to construct a reliable brain first.
NotebookLM functions as that brain. Think of it as a massive, secure bucket for your reality.
You throw everything about your business or project into this bucket. Let's get specific about the inputs. What kind of files go in?
The system is incredibly flexible. You can upload 50-page PDF manuals.
You can link directly to Google Docs, outlining your brand mission.
You can drop in plain text files with current pricing.
You can even paste links to unlisted YouTube videos. The tool automatically transcribes the audio and absorbs the concepts.
So the goal in this first step is absolute completeness. We aren't worried about making it look pretty yet.
We're establishing context.
The more raw data you provide, the deeper the AI understands. This mechanism is called grounding the model.
You're creating a fenced-in yard for the AI to play in.
You tell it to only use the information found inside that yard.
The quality of the website is tied to the raw material provided.
Exactly.
I want to push back on that process just a bit. If my pricing document happens to be 3 years old, isn't the AI just going to confidently broadcast those wrong prices?
Right, and that's a critical danger you have to manage. The system isn't a mind reader.
If you feed it outdated data, it eagerly renders those old prices.
Curation becomes your primary job. You must audit your documents before uploading.
Organization is the new coding. There's a specific structure for this, right?
Yes, the Organizing for Success framework. It relies on 4 foundational documents.
First, you need a who we are document. This dictates voice and tone.
Are you playful? Are you strictly professional? The AI internalizes this. Second, you upload a product list document.
This provides the raw facts the AI needs to sell your service.
Third is the brand guide. You explicitly list visual preferences here.
You can provide exact hex codes, like hashtag FFFFFF for pure white.
Finally, you include a customer FAQs document. The AI uses those to build interactive help sections.
What's the real consequence of skipping this step and just using Canvas blindly?
The website will look nice, but it will be filled with generic, made-up fluff.
Junk in means junk out. The AI uses exactly what you provide.
Precisely. The visual shell might be stunning, but the content will be completely hollow.
So we've built the brain using NotebookLM. We know the builder is Gemini Canvas.
Now we physically bridge the gap between them. We connect the data to the rendering engine.
The user interface steps here are surprisingly counterintuitive. They trip a lot of people up.
The most common mistake is trying to build the website inside NotebookLM.
You can't do that. NotebookLM is just the storage facility.
You actually have to navigate away from it. You open your main Google Gemini chat interface.
You bring your curated notebook into the broader AI environment.
Yes. In the text input box, you type the @ symbol or click the small plus icon.
You select the specific notebook you just populated. This explicitly tells Gemini to ignore the rest of the internet.
But there is a crucial, easily missed setting here, the secret step that makes the whole process work.
It's the most important toggle in the workflow. You must verify that the Canvas feature is actually turned on.
If Canvas is disabled, Gemini operates like a standard chatbot. It just spits out a boring text summary of your notes.
It'll completely fail to open the rendering window.
Exactly. When Canvas is active, hitting enter completely transforms the screen.
A massive new window opens on the right side of your monitor.
That's the actual canvas. That's where the code is written and executed.
Now, before you start prompting, look at the top right corner.
You have to select your computational model. You typically have 3 choices.
Fast, Thinking, and Pro. They utilize entirely different processing architectures. Let's break down the practical differences.
The fast model optimizes entirely for speed. It sacrifices aesthetics to get there.
It looks remarkably like a website from 1995. Plain black text and standard blue hyperlinks.
Next, you have the thinking model. This is designed for complex logic.
It allocates its processing power toward underlying math, like building smart quizzes or interactive calculators.
Yes. It codes the intricate JavaScript required for those interactive tools.
But for the vast majority of users who want a sleek landing page,
The Pro model is the absolute best choice. It understands contemporary web design trends natively.
it automatically generates smooth scroll animations and hover states.
Most importantly, it understands breakpoints. It builds layouts that dynamically resize for mobile phones automatically.
Whoa. Beat. Imagine watching the code build a responsive site, brick by brick, in 40 seconds. 2-sec silence. That's staggering to think about.
It's truly mesmerizing to watch the rendering and work.
We used to pay agencies tens of thousands of dollars for that exact capability.
We really did, but we do have to address the limits of the platform.
If you're on the free tier of Google Gemini, your access to the Pro model is strictly capped.
Complex code generation requires massive server power. If you hit your limit, the system downgrades you to the fast model abruptly.
If I hit my Pro limit halfway through building, what should I do?
You should honestly just stop and wait until your limit resets the next day so you don't ruin the design.
Wait until tomorrow rather than settling for the 1995 fast model.
Yeah, you really don't want to compromise the aesthetic halfway through.
That sounds right.
Okay, we have our engine selected. The foundational data is connected.
It's time to step up to the keyboard, type the prompt, and command this site into existence.
This phase is where simple language becomes incredibly powerful. You aren't writing syntax. You're managing behavior.
A single word change in your prompt alters the entire structural layout.
There's one specific magic word. The word is interactive.
It sounds simple, but it fundamentally shifts the AI's approach.
If your prompt just says, make a website, The AI defaults to a static HTML page.
It'll just look like a digital flyer.
But commanding it to make an interactive website forces the AI to utilize JavaScript.
It moves beyond mere display and creates functional elements.
Right. It starts building sticky navigation bars that anchor to the top of the browser.
It builds expandable menus. It transforms a static document into a modern web application.
Beyond that single word, you have to define the underlying purpose of the site.
You can't just demand it pastes your product info onto a page. Context dictates layout.
You have to explain the why behind the build. An educational site looks structurally different than a sales site.
You might write a prompt like, build an interactive website to help first-time buyers feel confident enough to purchase.
That psychological context changes everything. It changes where the AI places the buttons and alters headline tones.
It forces the AI to prioritize information that builds trust.
Constructing the perfect prompt requires 4 distinct pillars. First, a clear structure. Second, a visual style, like modern dark mode.
Third, the specific goal of the site. And fourth, an emotional direction.
You literally tell the machine how you want the visitor to feel. You tell it to make visitors feel a sense of urgency.
Yes. You combine those 4 pillars and hit enter. The Canvas window activates.
This initiates the code view phase. The screen fills with raw syntax.
You see strings of text like bracket div class equals header.
That represents HTML and CSS, the basic coding languages that structure and style web pages.
It looks incredibly intimidating for about 20 seconds, but you don't need to understand a single character of it.
Not at all. You just sit back and watch the machine work. After 30 or 40 seconds, the generation halts.
The screen flickers, refreshes, and seamlessly switches from code view into preview mode.
The raw code vanishes, and your fully functional live site appears.
You can immediately scroll through sections and test the CSS animations.
When you look closely at the actual text on the generated site, something fascinating becomes apparent.
It doesn't just lazily copy and paste the paragraphs we uploaded. It actually steps into the role of a professional copywriter.
It understands that a massive paragraph from your technical manual will ruin the visual flow.
How exactly does it handle the massive wall of text from the notebook?
It synthesizes the key points and adapts them into punchy, on-brand website copy automatically.
So it summarizes and adapts the text for a professional web format.
It acts as an editor and a designer simultaneously. Now, the very first generation is rarely flawless.
We transition into the editing and styling phase, because professional web design is really found in the iterative tweaks.
Exactly. But you don't tweak the code. You maintain your role as the art director.
You talk to the AI exactly like you talk to a human designer. You use natural conversational commands.
You type things like, make the background a soft, warm beige, and keep text dark.
And specificity is your best friend here. If you just say, make it look better, the AI has to guess.
Give precise parameters. Say, increase the body font size to 18 pixels. The AI isolates that element and refreshes the page instantly.
We have to talk about how it handles images. The initial draft usually uses generic placeholder boxes.
The AI uses placeholders to establish structural layout without guessing your visual assets. Swapping them out is remarkably frictionless.
You simply click the small image upload icon in the chat interface. You attach your high-resolution photo.
Then you conceptually tell the AI where that photo belongs.
I can just say, use this photo as the main hero banner. Full width, slight dark overlay.
It fundamentally understands the spatial concept of a hero banner. It calculates the necessary CSS adjustments and places your image perfectly.
Let's talk about dark mode. That used to take a human developer an entire afternoon of duplicating variables.
Now it's a 10-second conversational request. You simply ask for a dark mode toggle button.
The AI writes the underlying JavaScript, handles the color inversion logic, and builds the animated button state all at once.
A quick pro tip on this process: always ask the AI to preview both states.
You have to verify that your primary text remains readable against the newly generated dark backgrounds. Now, I want to highlight something that feels almost like cheating.
Oh, the screenshot trick. This is unequivocally the most powerful feature for users who lack formal design training.
It's exactly like sitting in a barber's chair. You don't try to describe the mathematical angles of the fade you want, you just show them a picture of the haircut.
That analogy perfectly captures the mechanism. If you see a website you think is beautiful, you take a screenshot of it.
You upload that image directly into Canvas, and you tell the AI to rebuild your site to capture this exact visual aesthetic.
It utilizes advanced visual reasoning to analyze the image.
Yes, it breaks down the screenshot pixel by pixel. It calculates the padding between buttons. It identifies font pairings.
It abstracts the vibe of that multi-million-dollar website and applies those structural rules to your own project.
It elevates a basic layout into something that looks incredibly expensive.
So, after we've iterated and added our images, how do we actually get this site in front of people?
Publishing is seamless. You navigate to the top right corner and click the Share button.
The system instantly generates a public, hosted hyperlink.
When I send this link to a client, are they forced to log into Google to see it?
No, the link is entirely public and frictionless, just like sharing an open document.
So it functions completely open, just like a public Google Doc link.
Exactly. Anyone with the link can view the fully rendered interactive site on any device.
And the brilliant part is the dynamic updating. If a client spots a typo, you don't need to generate a new link.
You just fix the typo in Canvas, hit save, and the existing public link updates automatically.
We do need to outline the current limitations of this workflow. We established that this is a real website.
It's functioning on standard web architecture. It's entirely real code, but the Canvas environment is a sandbox.
If your goal is to host this site on a custom domain, Canvas can't act as your permanent registrar.
You have to download the raw code files and deploy them on a traditional hosting platform like GitHub Pages or Netlify.
And what are the boundaries regarding complex e-commerce integrations?
It's fantastic for lightweight transactions. You can easily instruct it to build a pricing table that links out to Stripe or PayPal.
But it isn't a back-end database. If you're trying to run a massive digital storefront with hundreds of products, this tool will break.
You still require robust, traditional architecture like Shopify for heavy e-commerce. Canvas truly shines in creating bespoke front-end design and interactive landing pages.
Let's zoom out and unpack the profound shift we're witnessing here. The impenetrable wall of tech stuff has finally fallen. Beat. That's the grand thesis of this deep dive.
It alters the fundamental required skill set for building on the internet. We're moving from an era where coding was the barrier to an era where curation and paste are the only barriers.
You use NotebookLM to rigorously organize your facts and establish your truth. You leverage Gemini Canvas to instantly execute the complex rendering code.
The frustrating, expensive barrier between a raw idea and a professional web experience has collapsed into a 60-second window.
All driven by a plain English conversation.
It gives anyone with an idea the immediate ability to prototype and test that idea in the real world.
You owe it to yourself to try this workflow today. Don't wait until you have a massive project.
Take some scattered notes on a weekend hobby, or outline a rough business idea you've been sitting on.
Throw those notes into NotebookLM. Fire up the Canvas workspace, and just see what materializes.
You might be genuinely shocked at how expansive your own creativity becomes when the friction of writing code is entirely removed.
It genuinely changes how you evaluate the potential of your own ideas. When deployment is free and instant, you try things you'd never have risked money on before.
It brings us right back to the central problem we started with, the exhausting reality of renting your digital presence versus finally owning it.
I want to leave you with something to ponder as you look at the websites you visit today. If a completely non-technical person can generate a bespoke, responsive, interactive website in 60 seconds just by casually talking to their disorganized notes, beat. What does the next 5 years hold for the millions of traditional web design agencies out there? Out Tioro Music.